What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to Culturally Damaged with Kris and Dan. It is a Thursday after a holiday. Hope everyone had a nice 4th of July, Independence Day. We are now on the second half of the week. Thursday, Friday is all we got to get through, and then we are off at the weekend. How was your 4th there, Dano?
It was a very, very, very busy 4th. Ended up in Safety Harbor in the morning for the parade, and then ended the evening in Gulfport, at the Gulfport 4th of July parade.
So what were you, passing out candy? Were you throwing out, what were you guys doing?
Well, we're handing out some beads. So we drove the Jeep, had the Jeep all decked out for the 4th of July. So had some American flags, of course, had some of the different flags for the different military, the branches of the military. But we were handing out some fans, beads. Our little hand fans have a little material on them for Dave Ellis. So, and we thanks to you, we had a nice PA system with some nice patriotic country music and the smooth vocals of yours truly on the mic there.
The smooth vocals,
which is completely incorrect, but inaccurate. But whatever.
We had a little debate last week as to what music you should play at the parade, and you said that you thought you should play country music.
Patriotic country music.
I'm not sure what that even means.
Spotify has it.
So can music be patriotic and not be country?
Yes, it can.
Okay.
Sure can.
Because, I mean, some people like country music. Some people want to hear it, but some people don't. I'm sure there's some people at Gulfport that were kind of like, yeah, Toby Keith, really? I don't want to hear that.
They loved it.
You just ruined my holiday.
They loved the entire thing. You're way out of touch with the people in Gulfport. Way out of touch.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, I asked if you were going to play Lee Greenwood. You didn't even know who that was. So how can I be out of touch when I know more about country music than you know?
Well, you're from West Virginia. You should know more about country music. It's much more of the home of country music than Clearwater, Florida.
That's where it all started.
Than Gulfport. Much more so than Gulfport, Florida,
West
or
Virginia is
Clearwater.
where country music all started. West Virginia is more into bluegrass, I think. They like country, but I think in terms of like its home, the Appalachian Hills, especially in southern West Virginia, there was a lot of bluegrass going on. But not a big fan of country music myself. But we opened up with Small Town. I think Small Town by John Cougar Mellencamp, not a country song, good classic rock song, good American song about a dude from a small town. And I think that could have been something that you played, but it wasn't country, so I guess it didn't.
It had to be. There's not that many choices for patriotic music when you're looking for a playlist to play and make it quick.
I think Spotify you should talk to somebody who knows a lot about music and who deals with it. And who deals with it all the time.
That was the least of my concerns for
Dan,
that day.
You have time. I see you. I see you screw around all the time.
Yeah.
So you spend hours in my office talking to me, and so you could have asked someone who knows about music what songs that aren't country that you could have played.
I guess I didn't care enough.
I was invited, but I didn't go because I didn't want to hear crappy music.
It's your loss. We had a lot of fun. People loved us. People loved the Dalmatians, of course.
Oh yeah, everyone loves the Dalmatians until they knock your trash can over.
No trash cans at the festivals, or parades. So
that's a nice thing to have. Were there any other candidates there?
Doneen was at both Safety Harbor and the Gulfport parades.
Doneen Lohr, who's running for circuit court judge, who was a guest on our show.
Yep.
Prosecutor trying to turn judge.
Yes. And her husband, Dave talked to her husband about it, and they said that they knew that we were going to be there, and they knew that if we were going to be there, they couldn't just come with what do you call it, the old standby of the convertible with the candidate just waving.
No, they had to bring it. They had to bring it because they knew you were going to have the Jeep and the dogs, and the robot dogs.
Did you happen to see the wheels to the Jeep out there?
Yeah.
Red
so you
and
had
blue?
your wheels turned blue.
And red. The other side's red. You didn't see the
one's
other side.
Blue, one's red. Explain how did you do that? Like you didn't paint them, right?
I did paint them.
So they were painted, and that doesn't come off.
It's a peel coat, so it's specifically made to. It's removable. It's meant to be temporary, and so I had to take the wheels off of the Jeep. I just muscled them off. I just kind of took those lug nuts off with my teeth,
Yeah,
Just
like you
pulled that off
open
there.
beer cans.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
I crush them on my head when I'm done.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm recycling, saving the environment at the same time.
I've seen that.
And so anyway, you just take them off and you use index cards. It's actually pretty cool. You just use index cards and you put them around the
To protect the tire,
bead.
right?
Yep. And then you just use the stuff and you spray it, 4 or 5 coats of it.
So wait, so you
on.
take the whole tire off. You don't take the rim.
The wheel. Well, the wheel and tire all comes off.
So
at
you
once,
don't
yeah.
have to you don't have to detach the tire from the wheel, right?
Correct.
Because that's the hard part.
That would be way.
So that's why
beyond my
that's why
ability.
you have the index cards. You put the index cards, and then you spray this rubber coat, right? Is that what it is? And then now, if you wanted to tear it off, you could tear it off.
Allegedly. We'll see.
Have you tried that?
We'll see. We'll see what happens when it's time to take it off. So,
Well, then you might have a patriotic automobile from now on.
hey, listen. There's worse things in the world than having a patriotic automobile.
Hey,
So
whoever works for you, man.
I have the vinyl flag graphic is on the hood. That was not the best application process, but it looks good. So the Jeep was nice.
So
it got a lot of
everyone
attention.
was out there celebrating America and having a good time. And did you guys watch fireworks after Gulfport?
I did not stay for fireworks. Actually, I think the fireworks ended up getting canceled in Gulfport because they were expecting some rain. I don't think the rain actually ever came. I think Safety Harbor also may have been canceled. So I think a lot of the fireworks, Clearwater's went forward, but some of them locally didn't happen.
You know who else cancels fireworks on the 4th of July? The Taliban. The Taliban does. So you don't ever cancel
Radical
fireworks.
Islamic terrorists.
Yes,
They do not enjoy fireworks on.
I bet Obama was behind that cancellation.
It's an executive order, an illegal executive order, doing away with Independence Day celebrations.
Well, I think I read that on Drudge Report that he tried to do that. Fireworks. Let's talk about them. For or against?
I'm for fireworks. Of course, I'm for fireworks.
Are you for professional fireworks and local fireworks, or are you for all of them?
I'm for everything. I'm for freedom of
Freedom of blowing shit up,
fingers
right?
off. Yeah, as long as you're not hurting other people.
Well, I
do what you
think
gotta do.
that does happen from time to time.
I mean, I don't. Look, I'm a dog owner. We're both dog owners, dog lovers, and my dog gets a little upset sometimes when she hears fireworks. But I'm not gonna bitch and complain to people that want to set fireworks. I was a kid at one, maybe still a kid, but
Well, in my neighborhood, it's not just the kids; it's everybody. And these people are spending $300 and $400 worth of money on fireworks. I don't care; it's not my business; it's their business. It's made my business when I can't Netflix and chill because the neighborhood's popping off, like I live in Compton. But at the same time, it's kind of like I don't want to bother them. It's one day out of the year. It's supposed to be one day out of the year, but it starts on the 2nd, the 3rd. And on the 4th, and I guarantee you we'll hear some tonight because some knucklehead forgot he had some M80s in the back of the garage left over from yesterday, and he's going to crack them off. I like the professional fireworks. I think those are cool. I mean, I wouldn't go with cool. I'm not one of the people that are watching the fireworks because they're the same every year. I mean, can technology change with fireworks? Can we add some new stuff?
I mean, I think they've changed since like the days that I was, watching the fireworks displays at Lake Seminole Park. So a lot more. There's a lot more
spell stuff
music,
now.
a lot more timing, a lot more things going on up there than they used to. So,
Yeah.
But essentially, it's black powder being with a fuse. So I mean, isn't that a whole lot?
Nothing more American than that. I tell you a funny story about fireworks. It was July 4th of 2002. And so, as you could imagine, people were a little on the edge, and we were in D.C. We were at the National Mall in D.C. And when I told my mom that, she thought we were actually at the mall in D.C. But we were in the National Mall, like at the Capitol. And we had really good seats. It was very protected. I mean, they had bomb-sniffing dogs going through the metro trains and everything. But we finally get out, and they're doing the fireworks, which is just a phenomenal display that they put out on the Potomac River as you're lying down on the mall and you're watching out. But we were on the Capitol, close to the Capitol steps, where we just watched Chuck Berry play, which was really neat. But then they start the William Tell Overture, and during that song, there's a part where the cannons go off, and so all of a sudden we didn't know it was going to come, but they just fired cannons off the yard of the Capitol, and they fired them right over top of where people were lying on their blankets. And if you could imagine kind of being on the edge after September 11th and thinking that, this might be a place where people would want to attack, and then hearing those cannons go off right beside your ear, everyone just screamed and kids were running. And it was the scariest thing that I think, during that time I've ever experienced on July 4th. But that was the best fireworks show I ever saw was D.C. Back in Huntington, we used to see fireworks, but they were kind of like a pretty cheap display that we would see until the grand finale came off and you saw like 6 in a row. You're like, whoa!
I would imagine the city of Huntington had some more pressing economic issues than fireworks displays. I know living there a couple of years, they had their own, as all small towns struggle with their budgets, and especially Midwest small towns do tend to struggle. So what about as a kid? Did you ever get to shoot fireworks off, sparklers, the cones, those little tank things that they used to have?
Yeah, that was, I don't even think they sold that back home. They were so anti-firework back home.
South Carolina. That's you had to go to South Carolina.
That's the Mecca. So when you went to Myrtle Beach, which is the Redneck Riviera, if everybody goes to Myrtle Beach in the summertime, you go to Myrtle Beach, you go to the Magic Attic, you go to the Pavilion, you get some seashells, you go to the Gay Dolphin, but on the way home, you know where you stop. You stop at the mega firework extravaganza building that's like 9 million square feet.
Or at any gas station.
At any gas station. But no, we went to the big one, and you buy the big pack, that's like $75. And, you want to hold on to it as long as you can. But one night you go out back and you set them off. And, yes, I do agree. And I did have the little snaps. Remember the little snaps you
Snap and
throw?
pops.
Oh, man, those things were fun. Those things. You throw those at your best friend's head. Those are the best. In fact, I might bring some to the show next week. You have a good target right there. I could pap.
Yeah, I'll pap you.
Pap.
We used
no paps going on in here.
to drive to West Virginia every year from here, and we would always stop South Carolina at those gas stations. You could just load up while you're fueling up. Go get some explosives from inside. They kept them safe behind glass.
Oh yeah.
So the gas station would not explode.
I don't know if you remember it, but this is actually not funny at all. This is there's a fireworks store in Ohio, and there was a kid that went in there and started a fire, and the place literally exploded like, an atomic bomb, and it killed several people. And that was a really horrific thing, and I think it caused some laws to change, at least locally, over there where we were. But everyone knew that if you see a real firework, even in Florida, if you see a real one, you're like, oh, they went to South Carolina for that one. That was the real deal. That's professional grade.
Well, back in the day, all you could buy, you go into Publix. Still today, you go into Publix and you see the sparklers and the cones, and they have these things that look like they're going to make you like, ooh and ah, and then you light it and you're just like, that was it?
Yeah.
I got a sparkler?
That's pretty much my experience with every firework I've ever purchased is, oh man, what? Really? The snakes were cool. Yeah, they would go, but I'd get in trouble because they'd stain the driveway. But it's fireworks, schmarworks.
Those little tanks, I thought those little tanks were kind of fun. I mean, when I was a kid. Nowadays, you look at the little cardboard tanks, and you're like, I can't believe I was amused.
Yeah, all the little Chinese tanks.
Yes, the one that would kind of propel itself first, and it would shoot.
Now, did you ever incorporate some of your toys into your fireworks? Like put some G.I. Joes on bottle rockets and see if you could fly them up?
Of course.
Now that was fun. I gotta
blow
say,
up stuff. As a boy, I shouldn't make this a gender issue, but I didn't have girlfriends who were blowing stuff up. So it was generally me and my guy friends that were trying to blow things up as little kids. So
that's a pretty natural thing for an American kid to want to blow up stuff.
My dad, he told me, back in Rochester when he was a kid, he used to. This was when you could go get chemicals at a chemical store, and there wasn't any. You weren't put on a terrorist watch list, but he would get little chemicals and he made little stuff, and there was a river, and he would throw it, and he ended up making like a bomb, like chemical bomb out of this stuff as a little kid.
Oh, man.
You could just go out to the store and buy it. So it runs in the family.
Yeah. Well, hey, that sounds fun. I just never really got into science. I wasn't a science guy. I did like blowing up stuff, especially toys. That was a lot of fun. What's your favorite thing to have blown up as a kid? Type it in the if you're on Facebook, type it in the message board. Justin, did you ever blow anything up? I remember in college in our fraternity, we had one of our fraternity brothers actually made Agent Orange, and put it down the back and like melted this thing down. People get a little creepy with their fascination of stuff like that now.
Well, apparently your boy JPP put out a picture of his hand. I didn't see it, but I heard it was pretty mangled.
That's John
and stuff.
Paul Pierre III.
Our new Bucks, defensive end?
tackle? Yeah, a couple years ago,
right?
blew his fingers off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's a defensive tackle / end.
Okay.
Blew his fingers off a couple of years ago in a 4th of July accident.
So I think he was trying to, as a precautionary tale here. Hey, look what happened to me, and
yeah,
that's the part about it.
Don't be me.
Because I look I've had Roman candle fights. We've had bottle rocket fights. I've done really stupid things with them. I mean, even if that wasn't bad enough, and I have survived to this point with all of my fingers. I'm not sure I would be as careless with fireworks today as I was as a youngster.
No, you got to be careful with those, man. And that goes back a long way. I remember my grandpa telling me that one of his buddies threw a firecracker at his head when they were kids, and it blew out his eardrum. So even when he was older, when he started losing his hearing, it was always that one ear you had to talk into because his other eardrum was blown.
Well, and they didn't have
schmuck,
like lighter weight things like we do now. Like, those M80s were like truly an eighth stick of dynamite. And I talked to a guy up in Newport Richey last week, a good old boy, and he talked about it. He's like, yeah, I took 8 of them little cherry bombs. When he was a kid, when they were eighth stick, I put them all next together, and I shot them off all at once, and you could feel the shockwave. The people come running out of the house.
That probably wasn't when he was a kid. It was probably the day before he told you that.
But he was definitely. We went up to the Kia Fest. I was going to go up to Kia Fest and go around, tool around, and see. And of course, the first thing out of his mouth when I drive the Dave Jeep around. So of course, the first thing anybody asks me now is he a conservative or a progressive? And it's just like.
Yeah, there's nothing more American than a Korean car dealership festival.
Yes. Well, it's just the sponsor, but they do call it Kia Fest. So
isn't it that where it is at the dealership?
No. It's actually at Sims. It was at Sims Park in Newport Richey on Main Street. But
I know where that is.
But Kia Friendly was or Friendly Kia, and actually the people are very friendly. I will have to give them a plug because I called. I called the Aquatic Center to try to get in and see if we get a tent. They say, "Oh no, we don't know anything about this. Call Kia," which I didn't really think was a good idea. I've signed up for enough of these
they're friendly
things.
Kia, though.
Kia is probably not the place to call, but okay, I'll call. And they said, we'll pass the message, so-and-so. Of course, you think, all right, that's the last I'm ever going to hear. I get a call at 6:30 on a Thursday or something at Publix, and the guy's like, oh, I'm just calling you back on blah, 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 blah. And he couldn't help me, but he's like, oh, I'll text Judy right now. And I get a 3-way text message with Judy, and then Judy responds later.
Judy.
Very, very nice. Couldn't help, but
Thanks,
still
Judy.
very, very nice and very friendly. So I have to give them a plug. I don't know if they're
Well, it's cool that you appreciate
car
the fact that
dealers,
she couldn't help, but she was still friendly.
and she was nice, and she was responding to me at 9:00 at night. So
Man. Friendly
So,
Kia of
yeah,
Newport Richey.
I can't tell you
coming
anything
by
about their
a Korean
cars.
car.
But they are very nice people. So
And
they
those
have some
cars,
cute little dogs too.
Those cars are pretty nice too. I mean, they used to make crappers, but they look pretty nice now. The ones I've seen, the Kia, don't they have a cilantro? I grow that in my backyard, but Sorrento, maybe that's what it is.
Speaking of growing, not what you're thinking.
I
got some.
I was thinking that.
I got a couple of watermelon plants and a cantaloupe, some basil, and I planted some green bean seeds.
Well, that's one way to get your hands on some melons.
Earth boxes. That's right.
So is this a raised
and not
garden?
doing it.
Is
Yeah,
it a raised garden?
it's an earth box. So
An earth box.
Yeah, so-
Enlighten me, sir.
an earth box. So they have some other ones out there. It's a little older, but it's a rectangular shape. It's got a little thing on the bottom that prevents the dirt from going all the way down to the bottom. Just a little shelf kind of a thing. It's perforated, and there's a little tube so that you can water it through that. And so it kind of helps the watering issue. So you only have to water maybe every 2 or 3 days out here in Florida if we're not getting any rain. Compared to a normal container garden, without that extra reservoir, it gets so hot here that you pretty much have to water once or twice a day. In container
Man, you're
gardens.
telling me, as you're saying that, my pants are soaked because I've been at my house watering my newly installed lawn. It was installed this week. Man, grass is hard to grow down here. It's really, you have to have it shipped in. So they literally brought in sod that had been out of the ground and torn out 3 hours, and they laid it down. which is pretty impressive that they were able to put the grass down 3 hours after it was pulled out of the ground from a sod farm. But they got all the grass in, and so I started watering it, and one of my neighbors came over and said, "Hey, you're not supposed to be doing that. You can't water your lawn."
The water police here, huh?
Yeah, they do literally have water police. And so she said, "I'm just telling you, man. Somebody's going to drive by. They're going to tell you because."
Did you hold up the code that says there is an exception?
Well, you have to get permission though. You have to get the exception. So what I have to do is I have to now email the utility office to tell them that I have sod because they can't tell that this is new sod. I guess when they drive by and the seams are just you can see them clearly. But I've got to get permission from them so that they know when it went down. And when my due date is, because you can only do it for 2 weeks. So I'm able to water it with city water before 10 o'clock a.m. and after 4 p.m. is when I can water it for 2 weeks.
Are you allowed to pee? Can you go out there and pee? Does that count?
I don't want to pee on my lawn because I paid so much for the grass.
That's still against the law, by the way.
I'm not
if you're
sure
in your
what's
front
in my
yard,
pee.
you can't say you're just watering your yard.
Yeah, well, I'm flashing the neighbors too, so I think that's part of the problem. But man, I got a quote for $2,500 to have my sod put down.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty sizable yard, and which is a very good quote. But then I get my invoice, and it's $4,500. Don't you hate that? Is it? Well,
It's not surprising.
You don't
hate
that?
I mean,
well, there's he quoted
you didn't pull
me,
out your "Make America Great" hat. That's the problem. If you'd only put that on, you probably would have gotten the $2,500
those Mexicans that put my grass in would have absolutely adored that.
They could have been from Guatemala.
Yeah, those are real conservatives from Guatemala. I don't know. It's just he went out and did a lot of things that he didn't necessarily need to do. He mulched everything, and he put new mulch in my landscaping, and all that's nice. But I didn't ask for that. So, I don't know. I'm going to fight him a little bit on it and see how that goes, but I don't know. Did Chris Latvala just join us?
He did. I invited him.
Welcome, Mr. Latvala. If there's anything you'd like to come on and plug, come on and to say. I believe Mr. Latvala is running as in the Republican primary, or does he have a competitor?
I don't think there's a competitor in the primary. No.
He'll be running. I saw his sign.
There might be. I'm not sure.
I saw his sign. He has a neat light blue sign. And it has a little Rays logo there on it. I don't know if it's the same, but it's pretty similar. But it's pretty cool. It's
not yellow. It's white, so it's completely different. Completely different. Completely different.
No, and I think they make their own signs. They do have a sign company, those Lavalas. Well, they make a lot of political signs.
Since Chris joined, one of the things I kind of posed on our one of those questions during the week or something. You saw that thing about the fences?
Yes.
On the beach.
Yes.
So Chris would have had a hand in passing that legislation here locally. So.
Well, yeah, let's talk about that. What is your position on that? I know we had some chatter on our Facebook page, and it seemed to be pretty positive about the law. The two people that talked about it seemed to like it.
Yeah, well, and actually it was. I was reading up on it, and it passed both houses pretty. Not unanimously, but it was pretty much had bipartisan support. Republican, I think, brought it in the House and maybe a Democrat in the Senate. So it could be either way, though. But so it had a lot of bipartisan support. So usually this kind of issue, the idea of public taking and private property rights usually, becomes a red-blue issue and all this kind of stuff. And but this it seems, but to me there's obviously two sides of the argument, especially for a beach community like we are. A lot of our tourism dollars, a lot of everything relies on people being able to access the beach.
Yeah, that's the issue. Is there enough public space out there for everybody that wants to go to the beach? I guess the argument from the sponsors of the bill is that there's plenty of publicly beachfront property where you can go to Clearwater, wherever. But when you get down to like Indian Rocks and Bel Air Beach and all that, you have a lot of residential property, waterfront property. And are people still going to be able to get down in those areas and enjoy? And I know there are public spaces down there where they have public parking and you can go out. But it does make it a little tougher, I think, for the average beachgoer, especially locally, who just wants to go to the beach. But if there's enough public space, there's enough public space. And also another thing is if people own the property, I mean, if the property was purchased with the understanding that their land goes all the way to the water, then they would expect people not to trespass on their land, I guess.
But if you also purchase that land with the understanding, knowing that people are able to transverse your property, And I think what's really weird about this is there's been I looked at somebody's materials that's running for governor, and they said they wanted to fix the problems with the courts, like fix the courts, and I don't really know that we have a problem.
Yeah, give me some deets on that.
Exactly what do they need to fix with the courts? But what seemed kind of weird is what they're really doing with this law is they're taking away the ability for local governments to, which are elected officials, to make ordinances and, do the public taking through an ordinance, essentially. Yeah. And what they're saying is that this has to go to a circuit court, so that if a local government wants to have use or to make that public land or public use of it, they actually have to bring an action against the homeowner or the landowner to, judicially determine through evidence and all this kind of stuff whether there existed this use. So essentially what happens now is a local government, Indian Rocks Beach, says we're going to make, it's through a vote, municipal elections and all that kind of stuff, that we're going to pass an ordinance that says you have to allow people to go by. And the local government is essentially, theoretically, making a determination of public use, all that kind of stuff, just like we normally, in any other. And so, but it's weird because the legislators have usually tried to keep things within the legislation or keep it within the legislative branch of government, whereas this time it seems like they've really kicked it over to the judicial. So it's something brand new that judges are going to have to deal with in the future. So there's no case law on what is this public use, and so there's no presumption. And I guess that was the other thing. They're forbidding governments to have a presumption of public use also.
Yeah. Well, if the public comes in and says, hey, we can use your property, everybody in town now can use part of your property, then that's essentially a taking. You're taking their property away. And in order to take someone's property away, the government's required to give them fair market value for their property. So is the government coming in, giving them this money to pay them? And there's a lot of other little issues like that could pop up. Breaking news from Justin Snowflake Woodrow. I'm going to take it as a credible source that Scott Pruitt just resigned, the head of the EPA, who has been in constant controversy since he took the job. But apparently he just resigned. I did hear a funny theory the other day that it's a possibility that if the president were to fire Jeff Sessions, there is a rule that he could replace him with another cabinet member without having to have someone new confirmed by the Senate, so that he could essentially shift someone. So what is the possibility that we could actually see Scott Pruitt as our new AG, our new Attorney General, to take over for Jeff Sessions?
I have no idea.
I don't know. That would be interesting to see. I mean, such a controversial figure, even more so than Jeff Sessions, is Scott Pruitt. Scott Pruitt, who is from Oklahoma, who has sued the EPA on several occasions, and has been in a load of crap since he started, and was just in the news yesterday when a woman confronted him in a restaurant and kind of told him off, and it was recorded. But he's been accused of having like these private phone booths built for like $30,000 in his office. He flies first class everywhere he goes. Tried to get his wife a Chick-fil-A. And he has his aides. This is all alleged stuff that he has his aides trying to do personal work for him, which is not the first time that's happened. That's probably the smallest of the things that he's done, but they do make a big deal out of it. But there is a laundry list of problems that he's had, and everyone wonders, like, at what point is Trump going to fire this guy? And that might be what happened, because it was reported yesterday that Trump was on the end of his almost to his tipping point with Scott Pruitt.
That is one of the things that I have just not had time, as we talked about time-wise. Yeah, I have not had time to dedicate anything to the Trump's cabinet and everything that's going on.
Yeah, well, Pruitt is a very controversial figure, and I think Trump has enough to worry about with his own agenda, without having to worry about someone like Scott Pruitt keeping him in the news. So thank you, Mr. Woods, our physicist listener out of Illinois who is listening to us. We'd love to have you on the show sometime. I was actually on his show a couple weeks ago, and I think I gave a shout out to his show. It's the Purple Report that they do. Himself and a conservative do a show similar to ours. and talk about a lot of these things. So,
but not as good, of course.
Excuse me. Well, they don't burp right into the microphone as well as I do. Yeah. Who else is listening today? Come on in and say something. Let us know what you want to hear, about. Happy post-July 4th to everyone.
So what did you do on your 4th of July?
Oh, I thought you'd never ask.
Get there.
I actually didn't do much. I'm seeing someone now, and she was with her family out in Spring Hill. I wasn't invited to that, but that was.
Thank your lucky stars you didn't have to go to Spring Hill. Not that there's anything wrong with Spring Hill. It's just a long ways away, you know?
No, yeah. We were out.
And there's not much out there.
She went out to Spring Hill with her family. And they leave at like 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning. It's crazy.
You have to get out there before the sun goes down.
Oh, my God. That's too early for me. But I actually didn't do much. I watered my lawn. I did some work at the house. And then I went over to Dunedin to a pool party. And didn't turn out to be a big pool party, but we had some food. We had some very light beers, some ultralight Michelobes that I treated myself to. And
so
today,
you had water?
Today I'm a little sluggish. You know what, man? Just a tiny little bit of alcohol now with this keto diet, and I feel like a turd the next day. I feel terrible. That's just part of getting old, too.
You kind of look...
Yeah, I'm not looking myself, I guess, today, but...
Well, I wasn't actually. I thought you kind of looked like normal.
Well, I bet you haven't worn that shirt in 15 years.
I bet you're correct because it's a brand new shirt.
It is a brand new shirt.
Actually, one of my friends, Brian, went to the game the other day, and so he.
That's Brian, our lawn guy.
Yes, Brian Petrie. So he threw this through the mail slot.
Ah, what a cool guy, man!
Extra large.
Wow, you're wearing 1X, dude.
Never thought I'd be wearing extra large. That's for sure. Not that.
That's an extra large. Wow, good for you, man. You look good in it. It fits you good.
It's a little, I could still lose about 10 pounds or so, but hey, I'm not gonna argue about for that wearing the shirt. So,
no, man, you look like you got some muscles going there now.
They're getting there. So I do have a real quick plug though. I wanted to plug here before we get too far. I today donated my 36 gallons of blood and other blood.
That's how you're losing weight. You're giving your blood away.
Yeah, but they give fluids back, so it's not like I can just say, I lost 2 pounds today. Yeah.
That's your secret.
And so we got a nice little one blood. What do you call this thing? Tumbler, plastic tumbler. It's not one of the Yetis, but it's pretty nice.
So you're replenishing your fluid with the cup that they gave you
with Diet Coke. Yep.
Very cool. Now, that's cool. Now, you give blood, but you don't only give blood. You also give platelets, right?
Mostly platelets, yeah.
Explain to our audience. I almost said studio audience. Yes. Filmed before a live studio audience. Explain to our listeners why, how, and when you give platelets.
Well, you can give platelets, I guess, every week or two. It takes about 2 hours to donate platelets. When they do it, they're going to take your blood, they're going to filter it, kind of like what you would think with dialysis or something like that. So they're going to filter it, they put it back in, they're taking your platelets, they're going to take some red blood cells as well. They do take plasma, but then they do put a bunch of fluids back in your system. But it's important because platelets are used for cancer patients, they're also used in research and a lot of other stuff where patients who have a suppressed immune system, especially leukemia and other things like that, it's important that they get extra platelets to help fight infection. And so there's a shortage, of course, of all blood types going on. And if you've listened to the radio, blood donations are down. I think people are nervous about it with health issues and all that kind of stuff. And so more people aren't taking the time to donate. And I think it's really important. My mom had to it's not why I do it. I've been giving blood since I was in high school. Mm-hmm. I think I originally did it because you got out of class. The bus would come to your high school. You say, who wants to donate? I'll donate. I'll get out of class for a while. So I think that's what got me started. But, now I obviously I've made it up to 36 gallons. Our mayor, Kretikos, George Kretikos, he is also a lifelong blood donor.
No kidding.
So I see him on Facebook.
Kretikos from Clearwater.
Yep. So so it's really important that people go out there and do it. Donate blood. It only takes 20 minutes or so to donate blood. It does take a little longer to do platelets, but you get to watch a movie, enjoy some good company, and
wait, how long does it take?
About 2 hours to do platelets.
No kidding. You sit there for 2 hours, huh? Mm-hmm. So you watch a movie. Do you get to pick the movie?
I watched The Last Jedi. Netflix. They have Netflix, so you can watch anything that you want on Netflix or local TV.
So why don't you start watching The Staircase when you go get platelets, and we can talk about it on the show?
Because The Last Jedi was on.
Well, I could talk The Last Jedi with you, but I haven't seen it in a while. I did like it, though. It was a pretty good movie.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm starting to realize, though, I like Star Trek better than Star Wars, and I think it's because Star Wars, I think they care, it sounds bad, but they care about kids more. And they care about more merchandising to children. And so you'll see, like, the little droids, and they do little things where it's like all this little cutesy stuff for kids. And Star Trek, they're like, look, this is an adult, not that they're out there profanity or nudity or anything, but it's an adult sci-fi for adults.
Yeah.
And people are going to get shot and there's blood. Not grossly, but I just, you watch this. Pew. Yeah, and I enjoyed Star Wars, but I don't know. It's a little too.
Well, they never hit anybody. At least the stormtroopers. They always miss.
Yes, like G.I. Joe.
Yeah, terrible shots. Pew 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 pew. They're not always bad shots like with their guns, but they're also bad shots with their spaceships, like their cannons that they have coming out of their ships. Like they can never hit the Millennium Falcon. It's like that perfect shape that can twist in the air where nobody can hit it. But I never really watched Star Trek, really. I saw an interesting thing about Star Trek the other day. That, I don't know if you realize this, but the first television interracial kiss took place on Star Trek. And it was filmed with William Shatner, and Shatner was big on doing it, and the writers wanted to do it. And I
think Shatner wanted to kiss anybody, but go ahead.
Yeah, he was
open to anybody.
Yeah, but he was like, "Yeah, let's do it." I'm all for it. So the producers and the people who ran the show said, "I don't know, man." They weren't really for it. They were a little scared. I mean, this was, I believe, the 60s or 70s. I think 60s maybe, but I have to find the year. But so what they ended up deciding on doing was they were going to film two different versions. They were going to film one with a kiss, and then they were going to film one without a kiss, and then they were going to let the producers and editors decide at the end what they were going to use. And I think William Shatner was pretty certain that when they filmed the one that didn't have a kiss, that's one they were going to use. So what Shatner did was they filmed about 10 or 15 ones of them kissing. Like, you're right. I think he just wanted to get more kisses in. So he did about 10 or 15 runs of kissing her. And then the last one they did was the one where he didn't kiss her. He hugs her, and then he turns around and looks at the camera and crosses his eyes. So they had to use the one where he kissed her. Yeah, and so that was kind of like he had his own little political statement that he made there. But I thought that was pretty funny. But I'm not huge into Star Trek. I just looked up. The average body has about 1.5 gallons of blood in it at any time, and you've given 36 gallons. So that's pretty amazing.
It's a lot of product, let me tell you.
It's a lot of blood. It reminds me of that time that I shouldn't talk about that on there. But yeah, I didn't kill anybody.
No, good. Well, speaking of that, I was just some headlines around the world, and I think we talked about one of these, the food chain, I think a week or so ago, something about that. And in South Africa, some rhino poachers got killed by a pride of lions.
I know, isn't that cool? Yeah.
About 3 of them.
Yeah, I saw that today, actually. Yeah. I'm on Team Lion on this one, man.
Yeah.
Where are you on this?
No, look, poachers, you go into their habitat, but I mean, these people had high-powered rifle, they had a silencer, they had an axe. I'm not really sure exactly how the lions won, but I guess, look, when it's at night and the lions are out, it's like velociraptors here, it sounds like,
The lion sleeps tonight. Apparently it didn't sleep at this one, man. A pride. That's so awesome. I mean, I'd hate to see anybody die, honestly.
And it's such a terrible, to get eaten, though. Like, you think, like, as a human, like, this is, like that woman who was found in a snake. Like, can you imagine, like, because, like, snakes like that, they constrict you. They crush you to death.
They crush you, then they swallow you. Yeah,
like that's a long.
That's no way to go. Ugh. Oh man, yeah. I wish they get that Jimmy John guy. You know what I'm talking about? The guy that has the Jimmy John's restaurant. They got all kinds of pictures with him.
Didn't he get put in jail?
I don't think so. I think he just
that
goes.
was Jared. That was Subway. That was the other
Yeah,
guy.
that guy's completely different. I don't care if you get the two combined, honestly. Jared Fogle, Jimmy John, whatever. But Jimmy John, yeah, he goes on these excursions over in Africa. And he's this big fat a-hole, and he shoots rhinos that are about the same size as him. At least they're close in size. But there's one picture of him catching a shark, and he's on top of it naked, and you can just see his big fat Jimmy John bare ass. And he says it's not him, but it's clearly him. But the guy's he's out of control, so don't eat there. if you like animals, don't eat there.
Well, I got another headline here.
Uh-oh. I feel like you're creeping up on me on this one.
No. I did some research. I did some prep today.
Oh, man, I thought you were busy. What the hell?
I know. Well, this was like officially my day off because yesterday really wasn't. All right. But I thought this would excite you. Tupac's murder might be solved.
What?
Did you see that?
No, I did not know that.
Yeah, so apparently one of the other rappers of the day, who may have been the driver of the white Cadillac, is on his deathbed. And he said that, I guess a guy who died a couple years ago was in the back. He got an argument. Some Anderson, I think it was, got an argument with Tupac and Biggie at some party or something.
Yeah, there was a big fight. Yeah. It was at... I think
MGM, the Grand
MGM, MGM Grand. Because when I spent some time at DC a couple of years ago, I actually got to go to visit all the places where everything happened. And then in the Hard Rock Cafe, they actually have the story, or the Hard Rock Casino, they have a story, and they have the clothes he was wearing that night, like encased. But that's very interesting. Yeah, it only took him about 20 years.
Yeah, well, he apparently said that he's on his deathbed now, and he has cancer, and he has to cleanse his soul, kind of a thing. And that he's so the
dying
police said
declaration.
There's been reports that there's an arrest warrant imminent, but the police have denied that.
Well, fun legal fact is that if he dies, his comments can come into court, even though it's hearsay.
Deathbed, yeah,
because he is making a dying declaration. There's probably some other exceptions to it.
That would kind of suck if you're the person he was accusing of it, especially if you didn't do it, and you kind of know that, I'm gonna get him. They can't really, claim perjury. I'm dead. I'll be dead. I'll say whatever I want now.
Yeah, no, that's one of the good things about dying is you can say anything you want.
What else we got here? So what else happened yesterday besides the 4th of July? What else? What happens on the 4th of July every year?
The hot dog eating contest.
Your boy Chestnut.
Coney Island.
Your hot dog. You like
Nathan's.
Swallowing the wieners, don't you?
Well, that's a little personal.
Just shove them down your gullet.
Easy.
No chewing, no nothing.
It's a family show. Dip it in water first, at least.
Get it a little lubed up.
Oh, gross.
But supposedly I don't know. I might want to enter this because second place was like 19 behind. Like I figure I got to be able to eat like 40 something of them, right?
They won't let Kobayashi in the competition anymore. Yeah. And so there will always be an asterisk next to Joey Chestnut's name in my book because Kobayashi has been shunned and is not allowed back in.
I've picked things that I thought were going to be important to you. The hot dog, Tupac. I'm not. Rhino.
I'm kind of against competitive eating, honestly. I think it's kind of insulting to third world countries. But it's a sport now.
But everybody who does it are like these little toothpicks, though.
Yeah.
Very rare. You see a couple overweight people or fat people up there, but they never come close to.
I wonder why that is, because your stomach stretches, right? And so when you lose weight and you're thinner, or you're just thinner altogether, your stomach's smaller. So I guess when you eat that much food, it has to stretch your stomach out. It has to be so painful.
But maybe, I don't know. I mean, after being so overweight, maybe it's because you have so much mass in your stomach that you really can't stretch it out like your boy Chestnut.
I guess so, man. He's got a rubber belly.
Yeah. But he trains. I mean, he stretches that. I've listened to them. They talk
about. They eat hot dogs.
They eat salad. They just gorge themselves.
That doesn't sound right.
Themselves where they just stretch out their stomach.
Why are they disgusting. Not fat?
Because they're eating a lot of salad, I think.
I'm amazed. I'm amazed by everything about competitive eating. I think hot dogs. They do other things though. They do wings,
chicken wings.
They do hot dogs,
hamburgers, everything.
I'm always a little worried about the wings because you don't consume the whole wing, and you can tell that some people are better wing eaters than others. Some people do not extract nearly enough meat from a wing. And how do you judge that?
The flapper. What do you do with flappers? Are you only using drummies?
Well, I think
flappers have a lot of extra stuff.
I think flappers should be in there, man, because I think but it has to be the same amount for everybody, right? Mm-hmm. So if you have 50 flappers and you have 50 drums, but
do you go after the drummies first?
Well, that's just a strategy. That's good old-fashioned George W. Bush strategery.
That's right.
But I have a very good. I had 12 wings last night when I get home, and I can eat a flapper quicker than I can a drum.
But what if it's got the little the thing on it?
No, you can't have the little retarded leg on it. That's I've had an opinion about that for a long time. Why do they keep those on there? You know how much sauce those things take up, and nobody eats them. I bet Hooters could save $1 million a year.
But what are they going to do with those things?
You pop them off and throw them away. That's a part that you cannot eat. It's just.
But that's part of the pound, though. Like if you're buying wings by the pound.
Yeah, but when you go to Buffalo Wild Wings or any reputable wing place, they take care of that for
Hooters
you.
is not a reputable wing
They're
place.
They're not,
huh?
because they have that little goofy side handle on the side that you can't eat. And you're wasting sauce, man. Sauce adds up. Because you're rolling that sucker and it's absorbing sauce. You take that off.
Yeah.
Dude, that one little tweak would save you $1 million.
So when they want to charge you for extra sauce, you got to say, listen, I wouldn't have to ask for extra sauce if you just cut the stupid little extra leg off of here,
dude,
right?
when you go to Hooters, you're lucky to get your food.
Yeah.
Much less ask for a very strenuous, thought-provoking order.
But they get a little, like, I don't understand the deal. Like, you ask for extra sauce, like, and the places charge you for extra sauce. And, like, how much can this extra sauce? Like, they're so skimpy. Like, if they would just put enough sauce on it to begin with.
If they just take that little goofy piece off the leg, they wouldn't have to charge you for extra sauce.
That's my point.
And you would save, you know what that would do for the economy? That would save people money. That would save their business money.
Probably wouldn't have to have tariffs against Canada.
You wouldn't have to have wing sauce tariffs. I mean...
Think what we're going to pay. I wonder if we're putting tariffs on maple syrup, by the way.
I think maple syrup's pretty domestic. Well, yeah, for our exports, yeah.
No, there's a lot of maple syrup that comes across the border.
Really? Because I thought all the good maple syrup was made up in the Northeast.
I don't know. I keep seeing the little Canadian logo on maple syrup.
Oh, well, guess what? You're going to be paying more for it now.
So, but speaking of wing places, I met the owner of Abe's here on Missouri Avenue.
How's old Abe doing?
So Abraham is doing very well. He used to own Mugs and Jugs.
Yeah.
He said in his younger days he enjoyed having the Mugs and Jugs as he's matured. I
hope he's matured since he named his restaurant Mugs and Jugs.
Well, that's why it's now Abe's on Missouri. He actually sold the Mugs and Jugs years ago. But he's the one who that's where my boneless chicken wings, the inspiration for my boneless chicken wings. I wanted to lose weight, but I knew I couldn't give up my boneless chicken wings. So that was my
with tater
tots.
Though.
With tater tots, yes.
That's something they could have called it tots.
Tots,
because the girls have tots.
Yes. Well, anyway, he was
tits and tots.
Yeah, yeah, tips and tots, maybe right? Like for the wings.
I like tits and tots.
I mean, well, you can't get away with calling it tits, though. You can't.
Well, isn't that a phrase? Tit for tot.
Tit for tat. Yes.
Tit for tat. Well, tit for tater tat.
Yes.
I'm sorry, listeners.
So anyway, what else we got here? Your boy LeBron.
Bron.
We don't usually talk of the NBA much, so that'll be pretty much it for here. LeBron goes to the Lakers.
Yeah, anybody but the Lakers, man.
More super teams in the. Well, it doesn't make a super team, but I think they're trying to create another super team. So.
Well, Oakland signed Boogie, or Golden State signed Boogie. What's his name?
Who may never actually play.
So they have five. They literally have 5 All-Stars
when he plays. Let's face it. He may not actually play though.
He's a heck of a center.
He's coming back from an Achilles injury, so we don't really know.
5 All-Stars. Poor LeBron. He can't win. Are they going to get Kawhi Leonard? The Lakers?
There's a lot of talk, but I know the Spurs supposedly. I don't know why the Spurs would do it. If I were the Spurs, I just.
Somebody else signed.
Hold on to him.
Somebody. Well, I don't think that it's going to work out. He's not willing.
I wouldn't trade him to the Lakers though.
I would put him in the East.
Yeah,
I'd put him in the East. I would make sure he goes to the East because you don't want to have to worry about him beating you. But somebody else went to the Lakers after LeBron did. Somebody signed. Oh, it was the guy from the Pacers. What's his name from Brooklyn? Yeah, the guy that blew into to LeBron's ear while they were playing against each other.
Oh, that guy.
McPherson or something like that.
No, I know who you mean. Yeah,
He's actually a really good ball player. Will complement LeBron very well. I think that was a good get. But are they going to keep the ball guy, LeVar?
Well, he has an injury to his knee, so apparently they can't. Which kind of seems like, I hear this like, oh yeah, we think that the media is saying that they think LeVar Ball's camp leaked the fact that he had a knee injury, so they wouldn't trade him.
Is LeVar the dad or the player?
I think Lonzo is the player. I think
Lonzo
LeVar
Ball,
dad,
yeah,
right?
LeVar. Like here's what the problem I have: if he goes to LeBron going to the Lakers means I've got to see that guy's face more often now, and I cannot stand to see his face, his acne scarred, arrogant face. I just don't like him. Ugh.
No, I'm not sure too many people like him. I think you're finally with the majority of people on your opinions. Usually you're way out there in left field. Yeah, way out there with your opinions. But this time you're a little bit more normal.
I don't know if that's true or not, but I think that it's pretty normal for people to dislike LeVar Ball.
Yeah, I agree.
He is on my third list.
And the Lakers, because why should they get? I don't. He's given
anybody but LA, man.
But it just seems stupid because people are like, oh, as if they're surprised. Like his kids enrolled in high school,
right,
in LA. Like that should have been your first.
Well, you knew he was going somewhere warm.
He's going LA.
He's going somewhere warm, and I think Houston was probably a choice for him. But I don't think that offense.
Not after Chris Paul signed a max deal.
I think they probably still could have gotten him the way the NBA works, but. Because I think LeBron probably would have taken a pay cut to win more championships, but it's just I don't think it would have worked. I just don't think it's a really good mix. I don't think there's not enough shots for him and Harden. Man,
he's looking at his future. I mean, his future in basketball. He's only got another 3 to 4 years.
Well, he signed a 4-year contract, so that's probably going to be about it.
So, but he's got a long life ahead of him as a businessman, and to have a
he's
mentor like Magic Johnson and. All
Jerry
that kind
West.
of stuff. So yeah. So he's definitely in the place that he needs to be for his future. But
he's never going to be the guy there because it's always going to be the house that Magic built, that Kareem built, that Wilt built. It's always going to be a house that Kobe built. There's just so many superstars that have played. Shaq, and then with LeBron going there as an older guy, I don't think it's necessarily. Comparable to Michael Jordan going to the Wizards because LeBron is much younger in his life at that point and much more capable. But it is the bottom side of his career. It's the end of his career.
So do you think they're going to win do you think he'll win a title in L.A.?
Not if Golden State stays together.
Yeah,
that team's just unbelievable.
Well, that's the thing. Like, at least with Cleveland or if he had stayed in the East, like, at least you have a chance of being in the finals almost every year. Like now, are they ever? I mean, is LA even going to make the conference championship next year? It's unlikely.
I don't think so, man.
I mean, it's likely they'll finish 3rd or 4th in the conference at best.
In the first year that he's there, yeah, I think so. I mean, even when he came or went to Miami, they didn't win the championship his first year when they had the big three. They got beat to Dirk Nowitzki.
Well, even that though, would they? Like, we're predicting Golden State's going to be really good for many years. Houston is still going to be good for at least another 2.
I think Houston could knock him off.
His injury issue, I mean, he's been a little injury prone, especially playoff wise. So, but if Chris Paul stays healthy, Houston's not going anywhere.
Well, remember the free agency period just started, so Houston could go out and get a big time baller too. They're going to get somebody
Oklahoma
that
City.
Can run.
Paul George stayed in Oklahoma City, so I mean they're not going. I mean, the Lakers are going to be the 3rd or 4th best team. Even the following year,
the NBA really needs to make a switch to its playoff format. And I've told you this before, and I think you agree. Is that instead of taking the best 8 teams from the West and the best 8 teams from the East is so weak now that why shouldn't we just take the best 16 teams in the league, East or West, and let them play? Because when teams in the East make the playoffs that have losing records, and there's teams out West that have winning records that don't make the playoffs, that's garbage to me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's fair, but as with a lot of things in life, it's not fair. So
the geographical, I think, is trivial. The geographical divide, I think, is trivial. I think you just take the best 16 teams and let them play, and that's how you'll find a true winner.
Jake, we missed his comment earlier, but his son pees in the yard. So
his son pees in the yard. Oh,
so
that
does help.
That's a little Hank.
That was Jake. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good old boy though. They probably don't have any neighbors. Actually, going to go out to the New River with Jake on August 3rd, going up to West Virginia to raft the New River with some class
Is that the gorge?
4 and 5 rapids. Yeah, we would go under the gorge, finish at the gorge, and take your boat out right at the New River
You have your
Gorge
life
Bridge.
insurance paid up?
One of the biggest arch bridges in the world.
Can I take a policy out on you?
You can, and you don't need my permission. That's actually
You
law.
sure?
Yeah, I'm absolutely
Is it now?
positive.
Okay.
Yes, you can take a policy out on anybody you want and not even tell them.
I thought it used to
And
be.
you
Did
could
it
be
change?
and you can be the beneficiary. No, that's unless they just recently outlawed that. That's been the law for a while. Because people take them out on their employees all the time.
Speaking of, I know I'm not very good with this transition thing, but there is a new law out in California that just took effect, and it's kind of interesting. You know, usually I don't like a lot of stuff that comes out of California except for oranges. But this
Ronald
time,
Reagan, you like Ronald Reagan?
Yeah, but you know that's a long time ago.
Richard
they haven't
Nixon,
done a whole
you're a
lot.
big fan of his?
They haven't done a whole lot lately. So, I
Avocado.
like cover-ups. Avocados are from Mexico. If you haven't seen the ads,
California produces a lot of avocado.
I know, but the commercials say Mexico. So,
And that's where you get all of your information, Donald Trump.
So anyway, they passed a law in California, which I agree with this. So you know how like you sign up for certain things online and then you go to cancel your subscription and it says, well, you're going to have to call the 1-800 number.
Yeah, they
you
put
can
you through the gauntlet.
Yes. Well, so now it says that if you sign up for something online, they have to allow you to cancel it online. About that, right?
Very cool.
And then the other one that gets, you know, how many times has this gotten have this gotten us, and has it gotten our friends? That, you know, you sign up for something and you get the promo rate where it's $3.99 a month.
Yeah.
And then after the promo is over, you get charged $25 a month or whatever.
And no call, no email,
No nothing. So-
automatic. And it's in the fine print.
Yep. And so, and which of course most of us know, but they're banking on the idea that after 3 months you're just going to forget.
That you're not going to put a little notification on
tickler,
your Google
yes.
Calendar
Yeah.
to go cancel it.
So now in California, and what the reason I'm talking about it is because this has because if you do business if you're marketing or your subscription services in California, it affects every company, not just California-based companies. So if you're marketing in California, then they have to make this change nationwide. So it does affect us. And so the other thing is that so they have to notify you and they have to get your permission to then charge you the higher rate.
Nice.
When it happens. So
Go Cali.
So there might be a couple things that are really, gym memberships probably are going to go down significantly after the promo rates.
We just have to move to California, but you're saying that would affect everybody here, so it's the same market in California.
Yeah, because how are they going to really essentially make it only work for people in California?
No, I got you.
Yeah, so
just California companies.
Yeah, so most likely it will affect everybody because Comcast, Verizon, all these other companies.
Well,
they serve us here too, but
say what you will, but the more liberal side is to make it more customer friendly and not more corporate friendly, and so they are trying to help out the little guy, the customer. So you gotta like that. That's good stuff.
Well, and a lot of times these companies, we all know. I mean, the consumer. I probably am a little bit more. I don't know if liberal is the correct word, but consumers have very little. No, God, no. Don't call me progressive. That's,
you get caught up in words, man.
That's a demonizing word. But no, I'm kidding. But but seriously though, consumers have very that's the idea of the class action lawsuits. But the reality of a class action lawsuit is really the only winner is the attorney who brings it. Unless you like it winning $1. Yes. So the consumer, there's, it is some sort of recourse, but it's very, it's not really helpful. And so this, these consumer protections against companies that pretty much just do whatever they want. And if you try to contest those charges, the credit card company they're kind of all on the same side. They say, well, you sign the little thing that says they can do it, so you're screwed. Yeah. And so consumer protection, kind of a neat little thing there. Consumer protection is very important, and I think we should take it more seriously on a federal level instead of what we do. So, but it was I think that's all my headlines. That's some good headlines. We don't have much time left. I did want to mention that there was a little talk on the Bucks Wire on Bleacher Report of Teddy Bridgewater possibly coming to Tampa, maybe being a quarterback here, and why he would be a good fit. I think it's a terrible idea, and I don't think it's for a backup. I think it's to replace Jameis. And I'm not saying that's happening. I'm just saying that's the scuttlebutt out there right now on the wire I read today, and there was an article as to why that would be a good reason. Minnesota certainly doesn't need him. I don't even know if he still plays him. I think he signed with the Jets or something, didn't he? He signed somewhere else, yeah. Yeah, because Minnesota's just loaded with several quarterbacks now. But what do you think of that? Well, I think things are changing rapidly from our last conversation that we had last week on this. Even it's weird because I think the support locally is pretty much mixed. I think people are like, well, we're disappointed in what Winston did, but we understand he's our quarterback, and it really was. A lot of people are saying like it wasn't that terrible, and let's let him play. And media people are kind of mixed, but nationally, the Bucks are are getting crucified.
Yeah.
Most people are calling for the heads if they don't get rid of him and all this kind of stuff. So there's a lot of pressure building.
I think that wave's going to pass. Here's the thing: for the local people, it depends on how much you are a Bucks fan. And I'm not saying this is for everybody, because some people just genuinely think what he did is really, really awful, and that they should get rid of him for it. But when people are throwing away their Bucks jerseys or saying that they're going to end their season tickets if they keep Jameis Winston, those people weren't that big of Bucks fans to begin with. It's kind of like if you have a girlfriend and she does something, you get into an argument, she does something to you that you don't like. Now, if you really, really love that girl, you're probably going to give her another chance. But if you really didn't give a damn to begin with, and you were just a Facebook fan anyway, then you're probably not going to give that person a second chance. So, the true Bucks fans, I think, are going to be with him. It was good to see Cameron Brate come out for him today and say that, he's a completely different person than he was 2 years ago. And, he's doing the things in life he needs to do. He's getting married. He's having a child. Give this young man a chance. And I know you're going to say, maybe not you in particular, but Devil's Advocate's going to say, how many chances are you going to give this guy?
That's about what I was going to say.
But what has he done that's been that bad since he's been a Buccaneer?
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, and a lot of people would say that, look, he hasn't done that many things that have been bad as a Buccaneer. But then there's people who say, look, getting drafted by the Bucks was his second chance. And so there's a lot of just, and it's kind of, myself is conflicted to a certain extent because, at one point I think you and I can both say that, like, we've been intoxicated, and I don't want to speak for anybody, but I've been severely intoxicated, and I've never even come close to doing what he did. And so I think there's a lot of people out there who say, look, if that's something that he's, willing to do now, maybe what happened in the past is more, maybe he's not guilty of what he was accused of, but maybe he did something wrong. And is it something that we should be concerned about, even though, that this is his person, that this is him, that he has tendencies to not treat women with respect, or he has, and so I think, there's a larger concern, and do you, as a parent, do you want, honestly, I'm not going to not be a Bucks fan over this, but I wouldn't buy my child a Jameis Winston jersey.
And that makes sense. I mean, what kind of message are you sending, to your child? And I think that's fair.
The biggest concern.
That's
that I would
fair.
have.
That's fair to say. I just think that people just need to be a little bit more rational about, because nothing's been proven here anyway. He never admitted to doing it. He says that he didn't. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens if we're not going to make it through this. If we're going to make it through this wave, this bad press wave, or if he's going to fall on the wayside as part of this, and that might happen. And if it does, the Bucks need to make sure that they have a plan B, because we can't go forward with Ryan Fitzpatrick as our starting quarterback, and I don't think that you can go forward with Teddy Bridgewater. I think his injury issues make him just as vulnerable as anybody back there, and he's going to get hurt very quickly. And so if you don't have a plan, you might have to hang on to Jameis, swallow your pride, hang on to Jameis for the good of the franchise and the city, and then maybe make a plan later till you get a better option. But I know football's not everything. I know it's important that we live by our morals and all that, but at the same time, they've invested a lot in this program. They've gotten a lot of good players in here. So is this something that they want to derail that, or is this something that they want to maybe just keep in mind, punish him, move on? And I'm a fan of the latter, because I'd like to see him have a good season, but I really think a lot of people are out there just to see him do poorly. They don't have a lot of good loyal fans. They really don't.
Well, it's like I said, it's a hard situation to be in. But like you said, I mean, if Jameis Winston gets cut or whatever, like it potentially. I mean, this franchise is ready to win in the next couple of years. You know, I mean, theoretically, I mean, we have all of these offensive weapons. We've really built the defensive line. You know, whether they were going to do it all next year, I mean, it's the quarterback play. You know, like if Jameis Winston was playing quarterback and he was playing as an A-level, top 10 quarterback in the league, this team, the ceiling, the floor's the ceiling or something. Was that Jordan's?
Well, I think
without him though, this
capabilities
we could be set back for 5-6 years again.
Yeah, no, I agree.
You know?
And the thing about Bridgewater's, the Jets kept McCown. They drafted a quarterback. So McCown and Bridgewater are supposed to battle it out for number 2. And if Bridgewater wins that battle, we sure as hell aren't bringing Josh McCown back here. But if he doesn't win that battle, or if he doesn't get to that battle because we signed him first, I would love to have Teddy Bridgewater as a backup quarterback. But there's so many question marks with Teddy Bridgewater. He's coming back from a severe injury. He hasn't played in several years. Can he make that jump? I wouldn't put much money on it, honestly. With an injury like that and that knee, I hope he does. But that's a roll of dice bigger than Jameis Winston. I think.
Yeah.
Honestly.
No, it's a big deal. And then the last thing before we want to go, I just wanted to touch on our Rays here. We lost 2 of 3 to the Marlins this weekend, but my God, they won 3 from the Yankees, 2 from the
swept the Yankees,
Nationals, 5, and then 3 out of 4 from Houston. I think they were 8-1.
Yeah,
the Yankees
had a really good month of June,
and the Astros.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of June, this team was predicted to be like 20 games below 500.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, June was supposed to be, and it started off that way. I mean, the first half of June was pretty terrible, and so.
Well, our schedule.
I
on
see
the back
you, Miss
half,
Hartley. You joined late, and we're getting close to the thing here. I think you might be behind schedule, so we are checking comments, Mrs. Hartley. So.
Next topic, she says.
Yeah. When you get your show, Miss Hartley, you can tell us what topics you want to do.
Ooh.
It's always so funny when the people, it's always kind of, they're acting like jerks when they do that when you listen to the radio show. When you get your radio show, you can decide what, it's like, well, then why are you asking people to call in and comment?
I've heard enough from you. Hang up.
Yeah. So, but anyway, I mean, the Rays, I think they go to New York. Actually, I was hoping to go to see the Mets and the Rays play, but just all these parades and other campaign stuff, I just couldn't get away. But
well, I think the Yankees play again in August in New York because I was going to take my dad. I don't want to be in New York City in August, but it's the last time we play up there, and it might be the best time to actually catch him. So
I got a blue wig and a cowbell. If you'd like,
I might just settle for my Rays Longoria shirt.
A cowbell. Hey, I was in there with the cowbell.
I'm not carrying a cowbell on the subway, dude. Actually, it might not be a bad idea.
We don't bring it on the subway. You just,
I think cowbells for Texas high school football.
And Rays baseball.
And Mississippi State college football.
Especially when you're in New York.
There's a lot of places that have cowbells. We're not the first.
And the people don't, yes, I know. But anything you can do to irritate a New Yorker.
Well, I don't mind.
And
I'm just try not to get stabbed.
The cowbell, that annoys some New Yorkers.
That annoys me.
It actually annoys Josh Chilson also. But,
it's such a stupid thing.
I love it.
It's Texas college football Friday nights.
So fun.
Or high school football Friday nights.
Use the cowbell in the parades. Announces our presence. You should. One thing about the
cowbells. When we move to Ybor City, we got to go to something new.
Bigger cowbells.
No, we're gonna need more cowbell. All right. Well, I think that's about all we have, Dan. Thanks for bringing the topics today. That was very nice of you. I was a little busy doing some things. I couldn't prep for the show, but you did, so you saved the day.
Surprised us every once in a while, huh?
Yeah, every now and then you do surprise me. If you would like to come on to our show and talk and bring a different topic, I would like to actually do a show, maybe sponsored by my law practice, on the staircase. So if anybody would like to come on and join me, since I can't get Dan to watch The Staircase, which is a Netflix show about a murder, or maybe not a murder, it was a homicide that they charged it as. If you haven't had a chance,
homicide.
It was a homicide, and they charged this guy for it. But there's a lot of different theories on the case. It's not really clear as to whether or not he did it, at least to me. If you'd like to come on and debate and talk about some certain aspects of that, let me know. Message the show, Culturally Damaged, on Facebook, and let us know if you'd like to come in and talk about it. We'd like to do that. But
or we could talk about Sense8. That's also a very good show on Netflix.
Sense8 I haven't seen, but I'd be willing to watch it if I thought it would create some good banter.
It's really more about diversity than it is about any sort. I mean, it's actually a good show.
That's one thing you do stand for.
It is actually a very good show. It just happens to be. It was actually the coolest part about it, I will say, is that it wasn't until, I don't know, maybe partway through the second season before I realized I was watching a show that was completely filled with diversity and had characters. And so
it sucked you in with this Hollywood liberalism.
The cool part about it is it addresses all the issues that we have, but it doesn't make it into a PBS special about it. Like, it's like, well, yeah, let's just enjoy the show, and everybody, instead of necessarily bringing, I mean, obviously they deal with important issues that regard it, but it's not. Does it
deal with the little wing on the side that they should take off?
No, they do not take on those hard topics.
Those hard-hitting topics.
Yes. Actually, I want to do I want to do a thing on this beach. I was thinking about this morning. I want to get, the local media, they covered it, and they're going to move on to, whatever's happened tomorrow. I think that we should. I'm gonna make this. Not that I have any time for this kind of stuff, but I really want to get involved into this beach controversy, because I think, from a political perspective, we're going to have a lot of beach communities that are going to be enacting ordinances. We're going to have a lot of, emotions over this. So I think, it's not the most important topic in the world, but considering that we have like 20 beach communities and cities in like a 10-mile stretch of beach.
And we can call it Son of a Beach.
That's right.
Yeah, we can get our intern out there to interview people on the beach and see what they think about it. The hotter, the better.
I'll volunteer for that one.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So Dan, you heard it from Dan. He's going to be out on the beach doing interviews here pretty soon for our Son of the Beach segment that we're going to do about people losing access to the beach due to these state law saying that private property extends all the way to the water. To the
water line. So that before we go, I mean, that means you can still walk, though, around there. It's not like you can't walk through the surf.
You can boo-boo.
No, I'm not sure, but you can
get
walk
out in the water.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, they can't stop you from walking through the water. I mean, that's why it starts to get a little absurd.
Yeah.
Like the high tide water line is like the line that
they so when the water comes back, you have to run back with the water, and when it comes up, you can run.
So at like low tide, you can stick your chair out there and hang out on their beach.
That's a nanana boo-boo. Stick your head in doo-doo.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. I don't do that, but yes.
Well, you're an adult. You should do.
Allegedly. Some would disagree, but yeah.
Well, nanana boo-boo.
And I am hoping. I had my blood test, my blood results back. Everything looks pretty good.
Really?
So I might be starting some therapy next week or two. That was not part of the testing, but
you should
be okay.
You should get that tested.
Should be okay with that.
All right.
I think the blood people would have kept me out. They would have notified me by now if I had anything.
So your testosterone levels are pretty.
Well, my estrogen was a little on the high side. I got to figure out what's going on with the estrogen.
I noticed that.
Testosterone.
A lot of crying. Good. A lot of crying lately.
Well, I did have. I questioned a friend of mine who was. that will truly remain nameless. Usually it's you, but not this time. But he was getting a little emotional over a couple of things, and I said, "You doing okay? Because these are not necessarily emotional topics that you're getting emotional about, but." I figured since I went in to get tested, I might as well talk about it. So yeah, so I'm gonna hopefully start hormone therapy. We're gonna see. So if I start turning green and looking a little hulkish, that might be the reason. So
I was more worried about you growing boobs.
Well, you got to be careful because apparently, like, estrogen is caused by the metabolism of testosterone.
During the show, you're going to be like, "Eyes up here, Chris."
That's right. That's right.
All right. Well,
anyway,
I hope your hormone
on that
things
in the future,
works out.
So, yeah.
If you ever need any help, don't call me. I don't know anything about it. But I think that's all we have for our show today. Don't forget that our show is sponsored by the Perry Law Firm and the Parker Law Offices. So if you need some legal help, be sure to call us. Check us out on our websites at PerryLawFirm.com?
Perry Law.
Perry Law, Parri, as you'd see on the as on our banner on Facebook, and ChrisParkerLawFirm.com. You can check us out if you need any help in the areas of family law. If you need any help in the areas of personal injury or criminal defense, I can help you. Dan can help you in the areas of elder law.
Yep, and if anybody wants to go out there and donate some blood, some platelets, we're in dire need of that right now.
1, 2, 3 little bots. That's all for our show. We will talk to you next week. This has been Culturally Damaged.
Bye. Peace out.